I will not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will permit it to pass over me and through me. And when it is gone, past, I will turn my inner eye to see its path. Where the fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain. Frank Herbert's Dune is one of the most celebrated science fiction novels of all time. And for good reason too. It's inspired so much, Star Wars included, from the vast wastelands on Tatooine are directly taken from the pages of Dune. It's hard to miss those similarities. And Dune is, a lot of people say it's Game of Thrones in space, and to those people I say, isn't Game of Thrones just Dune in medieval times? Because Dune obviously came first. So Dune was written by Frank Herbert, and it came out in the early 1960s, and it's way before its time. It essentially is about these warring noble families that are trying to control this planet that has this substance called spice, and spice is used to do a lot of things. So in this future, there's not a whole lot of sentient technology. There was some sort of war that's hinted at where the technology kind of turned against these people. So really, there's nothing really super intelligent. So basically, what had to happen was humanity had to sort of upgrade itself mentally, so that way they could live without computers and whatnot. It's like, obviously there's still spaceships and such, but it's really bare bones, because these people are so afraid of technology taking back over again that they only trust in themselves. So they use the spice not only to power these spaceships, but they also use the spice to sort of open their mind. And there are these sort of what I would compare to monks, the Bene Gesserit, and excuse me, I'm going to be butchering names all over the place, but these people are sort of like monks, and they're the highest of mental power. In fact, most of them, if not all of them until recently, are female, and it's because they can essentially reach into their past ancestry, all their female past ancestry, and sort of access these memories, and it's insane. Like, literally, they can remember things from hundreds of years ago that their ancestors have experienced, and these people are really smart and they're wise. And it's like that quote I read at the very beginning is actually one of their quotes. And so one of the noble families has a son, and his name is Paul. And he's sort of the hero of this story. He's in his early teens, and I almost thought this was a young adult book, and it could be taken that way. And for those of you that don't like young adult books, don't take this as an insult. I think Dune is a good read for those that are growing up. Like, I think Dune should be required for school reading. I really do. It's one of those classics that I think is up there with the likes of Tom Sawyer and Shakespeare. It's something to be learned, because there's sort of a monk type attitude to the whole book. There's obvious inspirations from Hindu religion, and all sorts of other religions too. It's crazy. There's so many layers to this book. You can take it in so many directions, and you can read it as merely just an adventure in a political war. And it's like, sure, the political stuff didn't interest me that much, because it's a lot. There's a lot of talking, and yeah, you kind of get to the background of the whole universe, and a lot of the political stuff is told from the bad guy's side. That way you can get a taste for what their main goals is and what they're like as characters. But the adventure side is lived through Paul and his mother Jessica, who are hands down probably my favorite characters in the book. Paul's a good character because Paul is the first male who can access the memories of his past ancestors. Normally this isn't a thing that guys can do, but Paul is the first to have the potential to do so, and he's kind of put through the ringer by the Bene Gesserit, because they're like, this should be something only females should be able to do. It's this man, there's no way he can handle our ways and our teachings, and he sort of, when shit hits the fan, I don't want to give too much away, but when shit hits the fan, Paul and Jessica get stranded on this planet, on the planet Dune, and they meet these people called the Fremen. And the Fremen are sort of the lower class and seen as sort of peasants and unworthy. A lot of them have either been wiped out or put to slavery, and then of course there's some on the planet Dune too who are kind of fighting to stay alive and waiting for this character who they see in Paul as sort of a Christ figure and a savior figure to sort of get them out of this predicament they're in, so that way they can have their planet back. And his and Jessica's adventures with them are probably one of the most interesting parts of the book. Like I say, the book kind of slows down there in the political spots, and the beginning is a tad bit slow, but I think the characters are interesting enough, and the villains certainly are very colorful, and they're very evil. Like there's a part where the Baron, who is kind of the main villain, he's like this really big dude, not muscular. He's a fat guy. He's definitely he's a very big guy. He even has to use these like propellers to sort of fly himself everywhere. It's very, very strange. But when he attacks Paul's family, he expressed that he's upset that he didn't get to sexually assault Paul, and this sort of shows how mean of a character he is. And you sort of just from that understand why his nephew is kind of messed up too. It's like, you'd be messed up if this was your uncle and he was the one who practically raised you. Dune is interesting on all sorts of levels. I would back up those that have told me that I need to read this if I ever consider writing science fiction. And frankly, I would recommend this to anyone who likes a good book. Dune is an essential read, I would say. Dune is up there with the likes of Tom Sawyer and Lord of the Rings, where it should be required in schools. I think Dune would have been a great book study for something that's for those in high school or even college. Thanks as always for watching. If you like what you see here, subscribe to my channel, click below to see more. Check me out on Twitter and all my other fun stuff. Bye, and keep reading.